In the last video, we learned the difference between doing mode and being mode. Now we're going to learn how we can reduce stress and calm our emotions by spending less time in doing mode and more time just being. Every day we rely on doing mode to figure things out and get things done. Whether it's something at work, or things we're trying to get done around home, or something we're trying to organize, or plans we're making with friends, or even figuring out what we want to buy at a store, or order off a menu, or watch on TV, we need to engage our doing mode of mind in order to accomplish all sorts of things of various levels of complexity, and our doing mode of mind is perfectly suited for carrying out these types of mental tasks. But the challenge we face with doing mode is that we tend to operate out of doing mode almost all of the time, even though most of the time it's not necessary. So why is this a problem? Because doing mode is such an active state of mind, it requires a lot of mental energy. And since we don't have an unlimited supply of mental energy, the more we operate out of doing mode, the more quickly we deplete this energy. Even if we haven't been doing anything physically to exert ourselves, when we spend too much time engaged in doing mode, we can end up feeling tired, sluggish, exhausted, worn out, and just completely drained of mental energy and not able to focus or concentrate. Doing mode can be like a train that gathers momentum throughout the day. And once it gets going, sometimes, as soon as we get out of bed in the morning, it can be extremely hard to put on the brakes and slow things down. And so we spend all day with our mind constantly running, constantly thinking, planning, strategizing, striving, and if we're not careful, not just thinking, but worrying, dwelling on things, and ruminating, that doing mode train gathering more steam and burning precious mental energy as it goes. And so we continue along in doing mode even when it's not necessary, and even when we're running low or completely drained of mental energy, partly out of habit, and partly because it's so hard to slow our minds down once they've been chugging along in doing mode for a while, and partly because we think it's productive to always be doing something in our heads, and that if our minds aren't constantly going and we're not constantly thinking about something, then we're just wasting our time and being lazy. But operating in this manner isn't efficient, and if we try multitasking or doing too many things at once, or just continue to engage doing mode when we're feeling stressed, or tired, or drained of mental energy, it only reduces our productivity and the quality of our work suffers. But disengaging from doing mode is often easier said than done, because once that doing mode train has gathered so much momentum, it can feel almost impossible to apply the brakes and slow things down. So what can we do to avoid getting into this situation in the first place? How can we prevent our minds from starting to race and not allow that doing mode train to get away from us? Well, first, we need to reduce the amount of time we spend in doing mode by not operating out of doing mode when it's not necessary. And then, when you don't need to be operating out of doing mode, allow your mind to shift into being mode. Otherwise, it's like leaving the tap running all day, wasting water, or leaving all the lights on when you're not home, wasting electricity. When you leave doing mode running all day when you don't need to be using it, you're just wasting your mental energy for no reason. And while doing mode is extremely effective in many situations and for accomplishing many sorts of tasks, when we apply doing mode to things that it's not cut out for, it often ends up making things worse. Doing mode doesn't work for helping us deal with our internal experiences. Things like distressing, intrusive, or obsessive thoughts, our feelings and emotions, and pain and other body sensations. It also doesn't work for things outside of our control, things like the past, or uncertainty about the future, or things other people are doing. But since doing mode is so effective for helping us deal with problems in our everyday life, we try to apply it to these other things as well, for which it isn't suited or appropriate, and this ends up getting us into trouble. When we use doing mode for things it's not cut out for, not only isn't it effective, it tends to make things worse. When we try to apply doing mode to our internal experiences or to things outside of our control, it leads to overthinking everything, even simple things, and trying to problem solve our emotions to make ourselves feel better or to try to feel or not feel a certain way. And it leads to overanalyzing our thoughts and to unproductive worrying about things we can't control, and to endless dwelling and rumination trying to figure out things that have no solution. So while doing mode is essential in certain situations and for accomplishing certain sorts of tasks, there are also a lot of costs associated with doing mode, as too much doing mode drains us mentally and can leave us feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And if we use doing mode in situations for which it's not suited, it can end up making things worse. And so the more we can train ourselves to be mindful and operate out of being mode, out of habit and by default, the more energy we'll have available to ourselves when we need it, the less stress we'll experience, and the more effectively we'll be able to manage our difficult internal experiences and things outside of our control. And please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and to check out my full online mindfulness-based cognitive therapy and stress reduction course, where these videos come from for free. You'll find a link in the description.